In this video tutorial, what we're going to do is we're going to return to the auction sales records. That's a part of the auction purchase information. And what we're going to do is we're going to step through all the different parts of this screen and this area over here to help you to understand how to use it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at up in the upper left-hand corner, we have the previous and next buttons. Even though we do have a do action button with previous and next in it, this is just a fast way to touch on these to move up and down through the different records here. If we're looking at the record, and this one's fairly well populated, so it's easy to see most of the stuff in it, from the top down, at the very top, what you would do is you would, looking at the company type over here, or the auction type, you would take a thing over here, and there could be any number of different kinds of organizations that you may want to do that are related to auction companies. They could be consignment stores. It's just a acronym that goes across all of those, is an auction store, because that's the purpose of what we're looking for, is things that are up for sale. In a lot of cases, those are auctions or consignment stores or a business like that. So as the account type for this particular one, this is a police auction. And I stated in the last video, it's a very quick way to be able to look them up by doing a find based on the drop-down list of all the different kinds of stores that would be in there. It helps you to group them in a find to be able to go back through them and in a list view and see the one you're looking for. When you enter the information in here, you have a primary contact. That may not be true for every business, but you can always substitute something in here as far as the primary contact when you have a person or agent at any one of these organizations that you like to contact. And by having a primary contact, that gives you the go-to person in all those different businesses. But what happens if there's a number of people that you talk to over a period of time? Well, that's what the Related Contacts button does here. If I pop this up, you'll see that I have what we call related contacts. It's a contact name, the relationship in this particular case as far as what this guy does. In this case, he's an auction employee. And type of contact, he's the property manager, and this guy's a sales agent. We'd have their telephone number, their cell number, and their email. And if you click on the button at the end of the row, it'll go to the portal record for that particular portal. And in this portal record, you can make notes. In this case, there's a couple of E's in there. We'll take those out. And you would write notes basically about the particular person. Now, this is the actual contact name, the position he has, and so forth. Whatever one you click on, that way you can take notes on them. In some cases, birthday and anniversary is not important unless it's a business where you actually have a really good relationship with them and you want to keep track of different kinds of things like a date of their birthday and their anniversary. If you're sending out literature and you're doing it a lot, this might be more of an inside type of a business than an outside type of business. So we have Martin Fellows. He's in the police auction, and the website is where you'd have to go to find this guy. And here's the website. It's www.policeauctions.com. As far as sites go, you can pick all the ones you want, the different ones, but I would exercise them a little bit with research to see what they're really all about and how they deal with things. With these penny auctions that are out there where you keep on not betting, well, it's basically betting, but bidding and bidding and bidding and trying to win something, you'd have to be leery of that initially to try to say, I don't think that is what I want to do. Those are not the kind of businesses that make a lot of sense, because you can spend a lot of money and end up with two hands empty of everything. But when you do your research and you understand who they are, you want to know something about them and kind of be an insider and know people that when you go either live to them or you go to a show or a live auction and stuff like that, if you go very often, you want to be able to know who they are and what they do and how to react to them, because it could make a lot of difference. They may show you things that are special sales that they want to talk to you about, or they may even call you and ask you if you're interested in a certain thing to bid on it. So this is the sheet that tells you about that, and then you can track down here by adding comments about the particular guys in that group within the associated contacts for that police auction or whatever business you're talking about. So this is a really kind of a good one. Then there's the contacts for that particular place, and here are the looks like an exact thing of a list view, and it's even called a list view. And this would be the thing as far as finding people and so forth, and what business they are and keeping track of them. That is just the individual person, not so much the business itself, but you can go right back to it by going to that record that that person is related to for that company. I purposely put the actual auction company or auction or organization in red. So it's very obvious what it is because it's going to show up over here on the this list, because every time you add a new business, it's also added over here. You can, if you had to, add additional things if they're different locations, like police auction might be Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, whatever. You can add a record and then indicate the different places where they're at, because some of these places you can go to their website and bid on stuff, and based on your accumulated information for different bids and stuff, you can pretty well guess whether or not you want to buy a thing at a certain value, and based on its condition and how it is as far as what the product is. You get pretty darn good after a while when you're doing it in this application. So in this case, the address was not provided. It is in Los Angeles. County is not that important in this case. It's California. You could put a zip code that would help. The office phone is this phone, and then you could have an email for the major guy, Martin. You'd put his email in there, his cell phone, his auctioneer's phone number, his office phone, and the website. Now with the website, if you click on the button here and there's a website URL here, it'll open up the browser to that website. And in this particular case, it says Web Auction Warehouse as far as the type of business that it is. And you can go in there and edit that and add it. Then you can have another email, and this could probably be the main thing like shipping or whatever you want in here. Then down here is the business hours. It's important to know that, because if you're trying to contact somebody, you need to know where they're at, what city they're at, what their telephone number is at, and whatever you need to know. Now, most of this information is taken right from this website. For example, all of this information you see down here in the portal record is actually information that was taken from the website. Now, in an iPad, you can just scroll up and down with your finger to read it. In this, there's actually a scroll bar over in the side if I'm using it on a iPad, not an iPad, but a Mac or a Windows version. So you can scroll up and down. And then if you're interested about the record, like I said before, you can always click in the center dot here to see how many records are in the actual database. Over here you have top of the records as far as top of the file, next field, previous field. And then these go back and forth between records when they're highlighted. But I actually added those up here so that you would have them in the actual record that you're working on. Okay, let's scroll back down here so we have everything. Let's go ahead and look at the next things. We do have the next thing I want to look at is the location map. If you fill out the information here and you actually have an address, you have a city and a county and all that kind of stuff, and then you click on the location map, what it'll do is it'll open up the location map and give you directions. And obviously you need an internet connection to do this, but then you can go right to that location where you want to find this. And in this case, there was not a address provided, so it couldn't find the address. But if you had added it into the fields, it will use that information that's in this area to open up the map to the exact location, so you can get either turn-by-turn directions, or you can get, if you wanted to use them on your iPhone, or you can use them on an iPad with turn-to-turn, you can do that, if that application supports turn-to-turn. Auction scheduling. In this particular case, police auction is the one for this record, which is the ID number 1. And if you're going to be going to a police auction, or you made contact either by website or a phone contact, you want to put it in the action schedule portal as to what the outcome was from whatever that contact was, either live, website, or any other way you actually reach this. This is really good when you're working with people and you need to go back and then check what you said, when you said it, and what's it all about as far as what the outcome of that conversation is going to be. This is what we call CRM, or customer relationship management. You're a buyer, but you're still working as a customer relationship expert, where you're talking to people and you understand who they are. Like, for example, I put the birthday and anniversary. Once you really get familiar with people, they really, really like you and do extra things for them if you have all the information you're looking for. Up here, there's a listing schedule list view. So if I click on that, it's going to come up here and it's going to show all the events or things that I have done where I had a contact with certain people and wanted to provide record information. So, and you can see right here, it starts right off by telling you who they are, police auction, and so forth, who they are. And then, of course, you can click any one of these to take you into that particular record. So there's the record. The next one is the account purchases. This is critical. This particular screen has a lot of facets to it. It will automatically bring over the information from the other screen that we just worked at. There is a report attached here that I'll show you in a second. And this is the purchases made this account. So this is for this account where you are making purchases. Now there's two ways to use this particular screen. You can get quotes. For example, if you're looking at certain items that are similar or whatever, and you want to just keep a quote for a value on something so that you can go back later from this place. And you'll find out that the police auction in some respects, and this is your research, repeats a lot of things. So I have a feeling that they're getting supplied from some vendors in some cases, things like jewelry, and there are duplicates of the same items. They're not like somebody bought it and it was confiscated by the police and then sold at auction. They're actually duplicates of different stuff. So what you may want to do is you may want to do your research and find out if that's the case and they're selling from a vendor. Try to find out who the vendor is. For example, if you're tracking price, put in the price for the current thing, but don't put it in as you bought it. Put it down here as notes. Put in there that this thing was actually selling or sold at a different price, and just leave it as far as the thing up on the top. If you're not going to buy it physically yourself, you may want to keep a record of where it was. Have a picture of it from the website, and that's what this was. If I click on it, I can actually bring this up, by the way, so I can get a really close view of it as far as the view of the item. Looks like it's got either a topaz or a blue topaz or an aquamarine, and it's not really the right color for aqua. And then these may be real diamonds and real gold, so this might be a very expensive item. So, and if you click up here, you can see it nice with a white background, so you can see dark or light, and then go ahead and click done when you want to go back. Now, this is kind of interesting. Depending upon the business you're doing, if you're selling live at certain venues and you're taking the items you bought and you want to tag them either with a line barcode or with a Q&R barcode, if you click on this thing right down here, this will take you to a website, and all you need to do is have your auction ID number that you want to use. And the auction item number in this case, I'm going to explain what that is in a second. You can create a barcode that will have that in the barcode or on a QR code, and you can put that either on a box or actually take a tag and tag it. In this case, you might want to tag it with a tag. And you can print these, and there's two ways you want to print them. You can either print them onto a labeling thing, and there are actually labels included in the application where you can go to the label page. There's two different types of labels. There's 5160s and then one by size. What this is doing is you can print them on plain paper, and this is the most inexpensive way to do it. Print all these as labels on plain paper, and then cut them out and use a glue stick to glue them to a box or a label. It'll save you quite a bit of money. It sounds like it won't, but it will. If you're doing labels and you print a set of labels on a page and it's on a stickable type and you're paying, say, 80 cents per page, and you only use like 4 or 5 of the actual barcodes on that one page, you just threw away a page, and if it's a 25 label and now you're down to 3, you're paying quite a bit for those labels. If you print them on plain paper and then stick them, you're saving yourself a ton of money, and you don't have to go buy labels every time you want to go find some. If you have a barcode reader and that's what you want to use, believe it or not, I've done this. I've taken a barcode reader right on this page and popped it up here, and it took it right off the screen, and instantly it knew what the barcode was. Now, the way barcodes work, and I'll explain this, this is the actual barcode. You can copy and paste it, and you can view it. If you want to view it and bring it up as a big one so you can scan it, in this case, it looks like it's going to overflow the scan. So it's probably a little too large. So you can say done, go back out of here. What I did, and I'll explain how this works. I said I'd come back to it. If you are looking for the search details, it's a very good idea to have the part number if the auction or whatever gives that to you. If there's a serial number, use it. If there's an ISBN, use that. If it's something like a book or a record or whatever. Manufacturer is very important because this is stuff you're selling it, and you want to have all the information. If somebody asks you what the ISBN was for a book or whatever, you have it. It's not a case of not having it. Barcode number, if there is an actual barcode number, you can use that. And if you do a scan with a scanner, and this is the barcode you're using, you can see that they match. If you wanted to do a find within the application, you would go into find mode, take your barcode reader, set the barcode reader so that this field is highlighted, and then scan the item. It'll take you right to the record where it's at. And you'll see that barcode in here, and you can read it live. This is a 3 of 9 barcode, and obviously this is a QR code. Now, the QR codes are not text readable, but if you use them and they're on your device, it will do the same thing if you put it up here. Now, being around this business for a while, I recognize that there's something else you can do that is a little bit more cryptic for the looker, the person that's looking at your products. This is a auction item number. And what this is this is the number you're going to give your products, and it combines a couple of different things. First of all, we know that the client for this record is number 1. Okay? And it's on a specific date that we create this. So if I went out and I bought something and I wanted a fast way to know exactly where it came from and who, what time it was or date I bought it, look at here. This is 9/28 of 12. So that's August 28th of 2012. It's for account number, which is this client 1. And this is the first one for that day that I actually bought. If I bought 6 items for that day, then it would be this -1-6. That gives you the opportunity to very easily find things within the application based on a date basis, as far as this is concerned, by using a numerical runner. This can also be used if you wanted to create the barcode for this number. So you can go over, click in here, and create a 3 of 9 barcode or a QR code. Obviously, notes about the products, being able to go up and down through all the products that you're looking at as far as buying them. And this, by the way, is a portal record. So you can create one up here and start adding. For every one that you add, this will give you a portal with all the records in it that you use. Now you can see I try to move it up, it won't move anymore. You have to add a little bit of any kind of data in here and it will create the next record in the set. So it would pop this one and then another one below it as soon as you started adding data to it. Now let's talk about the rows and information at the top of the screen part up here. In this case, we got a diamond pendant, and in this case we put in there the date that it was, the auction date that we actually bought, again 9/28, and we ordered it. In this case, I'm going to say it's a website order. We won the bid, and the necklace is a length of an 18-inch gold, 14 gold carat chain, which is quite it's not inexpensive. In this case, the original box, brand new, so it's got all the stuff that came with it. It's $4,800. This is real diamonds. Okay. The purchase price you paid was $3,200. There was a purchase quantity of 1. It cost you $6 to have it shipped to you, insured. If there are any other fees, for example, there might be something where you want it registered when it comes to you, you can go ahead and do that. Or if you have it sent UPS and there's a fee for that, you could do that. What taxes did you pay on it? If you did pay taxes, how did you pay for it? You paid it on PayPal, and you paid per 3206. That's these two are automatically added as you bring them in there. It'll calculate this and put it in here. And then if there's a pending balance for the item, exactly, for example, if you only paid part of it and then you're supposed to receive it, say for example, you didn't buy this at a police auction, you bought it at a consignment store, and until it's actually delivered, you won't pay the balance, you would have that. If it's a consignment item and it's got a scratch on it, or there's a cost to have that repaired, or refurbed, maybe you have to do, or repair, say for example, you bought something and it was damaged and you wanted it repaired before you sold it, and you got a great price because it was something that needed to be repaired, that would be done. If you had to store it in a vault and you had to pay a price for that or whatever, there's a storage cost. If it's a large enough item and you had to have a place to store it, that would be a cost that would be against that item that would come out of your pocket as far as the bottom line for this item. Consign cost, if you had to pay a commission or part of your whole price, you would put the balance of what you received for the item from the consignment store. And then there would be a sales ad. If you did a sales ad, you'd put the sales ad cost. Obviously, things like Craigslist, there's no cost to do that. But if you did it on eBay, there would definitely be a cost. And then there's an other cost. For example, if you had some other thing you had to pay for, you take a note of it down here to say that was other. Then you come down to your sums. Sum of cost for, sum of cost of the purchase, this would be added to this. And the weight for shipping is 6 ounces. And that's important because you want to have that information. You don't want to have to go back every time you want to find something. So you knew when it was shipped to you, it was 6 ounces. And when you ship it again, you would charge for whatever the shipping is. A minimum sell price that you will sell it for, $3,200, $4,000 is what you'd sell it for. That's still $800 under retail, or what approximate retail was. That may be wholesale, and this would be sub-wholesale. Sales status, this is a drop-down where you can go in there and you can put all this information as far as delivered and so forth. And up here on this this has got it's hard to see it, but there's an underline there. If this was on the actual live iPad, you'd see the whole line. But if you click on it, what it'll do is it'll pop up so you can edit that particular thing as far as that list. On the iPads and iPhones, a drop-down list cannot be edited, but on my application they can, because you can take the underlined thing right here and go to that particular field, and it'll bring up another screen. In fact, if you go over to your purchase order, for example, and look in there, if you see anything in underline here, it tells you that there's another screen related to it. Or if it's the very top of a header and it has an underline on it, it may sort a listing item by that particular information. Okay, in this particular screen, we're seeing the auction items that we purchased, itemized by one record each with a summary. And if you go all the way to the end of the report, there'll be a grand summary in the report for the report summary, which totals all the items. And that would be by all vendors. This is the individual vendors, so you'd see a running sum. And this is where it becomes very, very important to use your find. If you're looking for a particular item by a particular vendor, then you want to come down here, pick the vendor, pick the item, or the ID number, or whatever it is, and you can search in the last screen I was just in to bring up that one individual item for that particular vendor that you bought it from. And you can see if you do a bunch of them or one, or omit records, you can modify the report here in every which way you need to. And again, you're using the Do Action menu to pop it down to do those kinds of things as far as sorting, omitting, and whatever, and finding. On this particular report screen, you'll see that if you pop this up, you'll get a large view of the individual items. If you don't get it right away, just tap on it. It'll go ahead and bring it up so you can see it. If you want to see it even larger, you can get a full view all the way up. And this is on an iPad, so I'm simulating the iPad. If I go back to white, this is nice if you're actually trying to sell something to somebody and you don't have the physical item there and you're interested in talking to them about it. They can see what it looks like and get a good idea of what you're selling. Same as this item right here. Large view. Tap on it to show it. Go to the large view and you get to edit once again, just like we did before. In a lot of cases, it's probably behooves you to not show the actual record this thing came in for and show this information. What I would do if somebody was interested, I would right-click on it, I would go ahead and copy it, and then what I'd do is I'd send it via email in order to send them an image and just provide whatever information you want about the support information for it. If you come into a report and you're missing the headers, click on the Run Report. It'll pop up and show you the headers. In this particular case, the headers is how this particular file was organized, and the information in the file is organized by vendor first, then the date of a purchase, and the information for that, and then it would go by date. For each one of these, there would be a break in between them. So if you look at one that has more than one item in it, you can see the individual items with multiple dates and stuff in there. Okay. I put some bogus dates in there for 2012 just so you would not miss understanding that these things can go over a long period of time. And also, if this application was delivered with data in it, you wanted to overwrite them, then you're going to have to do some changes within the individual records. Okay, let's go back over to the one click to get over here. What we're doing now, we've covered all, I'm going to recap. We've covered all of this information here. We've covered this information here and the notes. And I showed you where you can click on any one of these and change between the screens, or you can use the find in order to find a particular record by either the vendor or any of the information in here. And the other thing I was pointing out is that when you're looking at a portal, you cannot search in this record unless you actually go to the actual portal itself. And in this particular case, if you go to this portal, you could do a find by going up to the Do Action menu and find things by this particular screen. Now, there are delete buttons to delete records. If you had something that was not something that you actually had delivered or whatever, for whatever reason you want to delete it, you can click this button. It'll give you a warning, and then you can go ahead and say, yeah, go ahead and delete it. And what it'll do is it'll take it out of the row in the record that you're actually looking at it in. So if anytime when you're in a record and you got another delete button here, the information you read here is what's going to be deleted as of that row for that portal. And this information up here is the top level, which is actually for the organization you're getting it from, and this is the related information that is actually individual portal records within the application. If I want to go back to that individual one, I can click this little tap on that. It'll take me right back to this record here. Okay, we've covered an awful lot, and I expect that if you're going to use this application, that you're going to reuse these individual videos over and over again until you really understand everything. But if you don't, we have a support site that you can click on this button. It'll take you to the support site, and you can start a chat, or you can send an email, or whatever. If we're live at the time, you can go ahead and have a live chat with us and get any answers that you need. Now, the last thing we're going to need to cover, and this is the thing called the action track. And what this is, I learned over a period of time that people come back and they said, well, I needed a field that said this or that, and then I wanted to take some notes for it. Well, this is a portal that scrolls, and it'll have as many records as you want in it. These things, you can put a title for that information below, and you can create your own information. So, for example, if you had something you wanted to track about this vendor and about this vendor, you could have any kind of a top-level word thing in there, and as many of those as you need. And by the way, in the actual portal record, if you click on this square, you can search for that data in the portal record. So if I'm over here and I wanted to find, say, for example, rings from this vendor, and then you listed them, and there's a longer thing to read here, I could go in there and I can either go to this field or this field and do a find on it from this screen, or I could move here where it says next and previous for this vendor and go down through all the records that are available. So for example, we're looking at one row for the first row. If I click on next, it'll go down to the next row with the next list of them. So virtually you can have as many data points and fields as you want within this application. So this is called User Defined Fields, or UDF, and this is the portal for the UDFs, which are the individual records, it's not all the records, it's just each individual set that you saw in the portal back in the screen where we were at. So let's go back there and look at that, just so you don't have any questions about it. If you go back and you're looking at the UDF portal, click on this and you'll see that's an individual record. This is another one. And as you create this one and scroll down, you'll see the next one and so forth. So you can have as many of these as you need or want. Okay, this is a portrait thing here. You have some options with this. You can use it as a signature, a photo, or files. It's up to you. In some cases, you could get a signature, but that's maybe for one person. This is not a scrolling. It's only one, so you have one record in there. I would normally use this if I wanted to put a photo from the photo library, but of course, I don't have a photo library with anything in it. It's coming out and saying, I don't find anything for that. So if you had photos on these are just the default ones that are included in the test thing here, but you could say there's 5 of them in here, and I can go and pick one of these, it'll throw it in that field. So this might be the actual physical location of a building, and you want to see what it looks like as far as an auction site or consignment store or whatever. You could put it in there, and that way, if you're trying to give somebody directions, you can actually take it out of there, paste it in something, and send it to them. Okay, so this pretty well covers the information for this particular screen and all the aspects of it. And like I said, if you still have questions, go ahead and contact us via this support site. Thank you.